Great. All right. Michelle says, yes, you can hear me. Awesome. Good. So I'm so glad you guys are here, because what I want to say to you is that if you want to lose weight or weight loss is a part of your journey to health, it's not a dirty word. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I know I shouldn't talk about this. No, that's not true. You can absolutely talk about it, but I don't want you to use that as your goal for everyday life, because it's not sustainable. So what we're going to do here tonight is for me to tell you that weight loss is where I felt shame in and out of diets for years. And what I didn't realize back when I was struggling with my weight is how along the journey I was actually limiting myself from my full potential on a daily basis, because I didn't feel like I could experience life in the following ways. And maybe you can relate to this, right? It's like, well, I'll only be happy when I can wear a bikini. I'll only be happy when I lose the next 10 pounds. I'll only be happy when I look the way I looked back then, right? And so you're always focusing on the past and focusing on what you used to have, instead of using the leverage of your life and what you have today in order to look forward to the future. So there I was for years waiting for my life to begin until the next number was reached, rather than just enjoying my life and using it as leverage to take action that feels good every single day. And you guys know I'm really into mindset, and I'm telling you that the number one thing that I've done for myself and for my clients is to flip the switch from how can I get to that number and use that as motivation, which never works, and instead think about how do I want to fuel myself today and every day so I can show up and do the work that I'm meant to do here for my family, for myself, for my clients in the world, right? And it wasn't until I discovered that what I was focusing on back then, the numbers and pant sizes, what kept me from having the healthy, empowered body and mind that I'm able to have today and every day. There's no doubt that feeling confident is a necessary part of our human experience. We want to walk around feeling really positive about ourselves. But the thing is that you don't have to wait for that. Waiting for confidence to strike, rather than deciding that you're confident today based on the way you're living, is one of the biggest mistakes that I see women make. And it's a mistake I made for 15 years. People say, I want to lose weight so I feel better about myself. But that's not what's standing in your way. There's all this waiting just for an arbitrary number. So if you've ever set a weight goal, or you let that number tell you how to show up in your day or what to eat in a day, then this live is definitely for you, because I want to break that down for you and give you a solution. At the end of the live, if you guys stick around with me, even on the replay, I'm going to give you a chance to get one of my favorite materials that I've ever written that really explains what you can focus on instead of the scale, what you can focus on instead, and how you can get to optimal health just by focusing on the things that are most important to focus on as far as your health is concerned. So when we've been led to believe that weight is the motivating factor, the reasons you eat better, work out, or the excuse to eat well or to not, right? So what ends up happening is that we have this number, and then when we see it, we decide based on that number what we're going to do with our lives that day. But why are we letting this arbitrary number guide the things and the choices that we make in our day? Isn't life more important than that? Because what I'm going to share with you has naturally led me and my clients to embrace the journey of healthful living, not tied to a scale, to be empowered instead of deprived, with the internal willingness to take action for the most important things in our life. That's our family, our work, all of the things that I mentioned before. So right now, I want you to imagine two different types of days, okay? And I've experienced both of them. Here's the first example. You wake up, you weigh yourself like you do every single day, and you wonder what you'll eat in order to be in control today of the number. I don't want it to go up, or you don't want it to go down, whatever is happening. If it's high, you're already thinking you're a failure, whatever high means to you, right? Maybe you wonder, why does it matter if you eat well today? You haven't made any progress anyway. I have felt that way, and I felt that way many times. You step on, you're like, what does it even matter? Today, it doesn't matter, right? Because of this number. And then you either go for a run because you feel like, oh, well, I have to now, or you don't go because you feel the failure so heavy inside of yourself that you don't want to. right? And you're like, I'll just put it off another day until the number is better. If it's low, you're excited, right? But later the permission to eat what you want starts to come in, the self-sabotage, and maybe the permission to take a day off in running because you get to enjoy that number today, or you've reached your weight goal. So you don't have to continue to do the other things. You've worked so hard, right? So you continue to take action in your day, giving your foods and your actions a good or a bad quality based on whether or not you're going to lose weight. And then all this time you spend thinking about how if you just don't go to the bakery today, or if you just don't have the dessert tonight, you'll lose the weight or whatever, right? You'll probably get hungry later around 4 p.m. Once you get through half of a bag of something, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to eat the whole bag. And then you think to yourself, okay, I'll do better tomorrow, right? All this good and bad quality to our life surrounding food based on this number that you want in order to be happy. So tell me I'm not alone in this. If you've ever experienced this, the fear of the scale, or using that number to guide you or to tell you how you're going to act in the day, is that a familiar story to you? Is it something that you've experienced before? Yeah, because this kind of thinking is what led me to go back and forth into yo-yo and to constantly judge myself. So all day, I am in judgment over what's going to be happening and not knowing what to do about that based on this number, right? And so here's the thing. Taking action in your life for a number never, ever works. That's why I have a job. So all the people out there who get what they want and are still waiting for a number are not taking right action, and they're still unhappy. Let me say that again. All of the people out there who get what they want on the scale, right, are still not taking right action because they're thinking about, right, in the example that I said earlier, I step on the scale, I see what I want, and then I'm going to take whatever action I feel like because I think I've reached a goal with a number, and then I'm not happy again. They are just as stuck as the people who are still waiting for a lower number to be happy. They're not happier. I promise you that they are not happier. If you are stepping on the scale every day and you think that you're okay with the number, or you're stepping on the scale every day and you're not okay with it, both people are not happy with what's happening. Neither person is confident in the choices they're making in their life. I can promise you that. So those of you who are waiting around for a number or striving for that, when you get there, that joy doesn't start down there. Your joy can actually start today, right now. And that empowered place is how you guide yourself into optimal health and well-being. Okay, so here's the second example. You wake up, instead of stepping on a scale, you stretch. Maybe you work out a little bit. You breathe. You take a breath, you imagine yourself running. You take a breath, you imagine yourself nourishing your body with foods that make you feel good. You take another breath and you imagine connecting with your partner, or maybe playing with your kids. You take another breath and you imagine feeling confident and productive at work, walking down the street with your head held high and you feel really good, right? So the first thing that you're nourishing yourself in the morning is breath and confidence and the ideas of what you want to put into your body, not stepping on a scale to tell you how you're doing today. You're already deciding how you're doing today with that simple exercise. Takes less than 2 minutes, less than a minute, 3, 4, 5 breaths of imagining who you want to be and how you want to get there. Now, the person that you imagine must have the fuel that she needs to show up as that version of herself, right? And so we get motivated by what we're asking ourselves to do and how we can show up every day, instead of looking at a number and deciding how we're going to treat ourselves that day. Doesn't that sound like a better way to live? Knowing, developing trust in yourself. Now, it takes practice, but it's really important to know that the more you do it, the more you can see that vision of yourself, and the more you're going to start naturally making the choices that are going to fuel the person who you want to be. And that's a beautiful day, right? None of that is a result of losing weight. Those visions, that breathing, that moment you have to yourself first thing in the morning is not a result of losing 10 pounds. And all of it is possible without the preoccupation of what's going to happen on that scale in front of you. So most people, hopefully not you guys now, but most people live that first way. They believe that they have to stay motivated by some quantifiable number in their clothes or on the scale. But what if instead of thinking about what we can or can't have, what if instead we simply focus on filling ourselves up? Filling ourselves up with what? With meaningful action and connecting what we eat and the actions we take to and how we show up in our unique lives. Nobody's going to wake up first thing in the morning and take a deep breath and start imagining themselves diving into a bag of chips and finishing the bag. Nobody imagines or wants for themselves a lack of control over the food behaviors or over what they describe as lazy behaviors in their life. Nobody wants that. So wake up and make that intention for yourself with your breath, and know that it's possible for you, and then start considering what are the changes you need to make in order for that person to show up, not to lose the weight on the scale. What do I need to do to show up like that? And that's what I do. That's my job. I help people show up like that without the preoccupation of the number. So instead of seeing a number and asking, how can I lose the next 5 pounds? We feel the difference just by choosing nourishing foods and behaviors in our life overall. And then you keep making those choices over and over again. Why? Not to lose 5 pounds, but because you want to show up as the person you see when you wake up in the morning and you're taking those 4 or 5 breaths, to be able to be the fullest expression of yourself. Now, of course, there's physiological things and addictions and habits and behaviors that need to be changed, but it's possible if you just keep creating this vision for yourself, you're going to know what to do, and you want it so badly that you're going to make the choices in alignment with that. Now, virtually every woman who comes to see me says that they first want to lose weight. That's what they say. Helen, I want to lose weight. I want to do this thing. Okay, fine. They say, I don't know what to do. But we dig a little deeper. There's this whole story, a whole story. Each and every one of you has a whole beautiful story in your whole life that makes up you. And it's unique to you. And the whole story is usually cycling in and out of guilt and shame, because your story surrounds when you stepped on the scale and when you realized it was a problem, right? The pain that any of us feels is not from the weight itself, but from the defeat of yet another failed experiment. We think we failed based on that. So what I do instead is to teach you what to focus on rather than the weight loss. You can be motivated by your life and how you feel, and tune into the symptoms of distress and inflammation that are getting in the way of you showing up. And that's what I have to offer you today at the end of the live. When you guys stick around, I'll send that resource to you, which is the different symptoms of inflammation we can look out for and how we can decrease those so we can show up. It's not your weight. It's these other things, and I'll share them with you in just a second. So there's a real difference, right? There's a difference between using a number to motivate me or using my life and observing the symptoms of inflammation that get in my way of showing up, right? One of those is your mood. How many of you feel like you're in a crappy mood, so you're going to eat crap? Totally. How many of you feel like you didn't get enough sleep, so you're in a crappy mood, so you want to eat crap? Yeah. Or what if your digestion is off and you're gassy and you're bloated and you're like, oh, I don't feel well anyway, and so I'm just going to make whatever choices. I can't figure it out. Another symptom of inflammation, lack of focus. Oh, I'm so scattered. And we get so freaked out about our anxiety or our scatteredness, we start going to the pantry for things. Like, maybe if I have control over the food in my pantry, the scatteredness will go away, right? It feels like it's supposed to be this grounding experience, but there's actually other things involved in it. There's a physiological and inflammatory response going on in your body that you can do something about today. Right now, you can do something about that. And then the other thing, energy levels, number one thing. Now, when we think about our energy levels, there's this dip for most of us between like 2 and 5 o'clock. And in that time, it's when we feel like we lose control, right? And then there's another dip right after dinner time. That's when we hit the sweets and we start putting them in our bodies. Now, here's the thing about that. Between 2 and 5, you're probably exhausted. So we can lie down and take a rest. There's other ways to nourish yourself and get energy besides food. After dinner, it's bedtime. Let's just go to sleep. So in the guide that I'm going to give you at the end of this, I explain all of that, how to balance your mood, your digestion, your focus, and your energy levels, and how to focus on that and to not focus on the scale. Because if we can set the scale aside and we can say, what am I fighting for in my life to show up with those 4 or 5 breaths in the morning? And how can I have a good mood, great digestion, improved focus, and the energy levels I need to make the conscious choices for that person to show up? That's the good stuff. That's whole body health. That's your whole body working in harmony from head to toe to get you what you want. And when you can make a conscious choice, you can lose as much weight as you want to at the end of the day, right? If I want to get stronger, I will lift weights and get stronger. If I want to feel better, I'm going to eat to feel better. It's that simple, but we overcomplicate it with numbers. And we need to have the confidence today, the breathing, the visualizing in the morning, and then the symptoms of inflammation in the guide that I'm going to give you guys. So I know that all anybody wants is a proven plan. I have the experience and I really want to help each and every single one of you, whether or not you can sign up with me in my program. So I'm going to share with you the comprehensive guide on ditching the scale and what to focus on instead, the symptoms of inflammation. So you can let me know. I'm looking at the comments. Lindsay said she hit the sweets both times. Yeah, mid-afternoon and after dinner. Now, there's a rhythm to that. So one of the reasons that we might hit it after dinner is because we hit it in the middle of the afternoon. That craving is still there, right? So physiologically, you gave yourself a sugar uptake and then your body's looking for it again. So you can just kind of try to coast through it. But if you rest, interestingly enough, not nap. I'm not saying lie down and take a big giant nap, but if you lie down and you do a couple of breaths or a body scan, if you have the Calm app, or you could do a midday yoga nidra, you can YouTube that yoga nidra, and you do it for like 5 minutes. It feels like a breath of fresh air, and that craving can go away. Of course, a drink of water, all of that. And I'm not saying that I don't eat chocolate in the middle of the afternoon sometimes, but I'm super aware of what's going on for me. And if it's too many days in a row, I know that I'm messing with my biorhythm and that that's not going to do well for me later. And then I'm not going to be able to show up to feel really good at 5 o'clock another time. So we start to get really reflective about that and we make it important enough. Galit says, yay, nap. If anybody wants to know how to nap, ask Galit. She's like the nap boss. So she's really good at that. Some people just really need or take that nap. I take a rest. I don't fall asleep. Brenda said that she doesn't care because she's feeling energy and pride. Yeah, let me see if I can get into the comments and dig in there a little bit more. Let's see. I need to go into our group to read all of that. I'm just scrolling down here for a second. Yeah, Galit says Yoga Nidra. Again, guys, you can just YouTube Yoga Nidra. So that has really been helpful for me, or just laying down and doing a little body scan for sure. Yeah, I can't see all of your comments in here. That's super maddening, but that's okay. So, so if you guys want the guide, just let me know. You can say, say yes, give me the guide or whatever in the comments, and I will get it to you through Facebook Messenger. This is only something I usually give away during my webinars, or it's a part of like free giveaways for events that I hold. But today I want to give it to you guys. So let me know that you want it, and you can read through it. The one thing that the guide doesn't do is the mindset work. But if you have worked with me either in boot camp and you have those emails, or the 5K and you have those emails or the guide, then you're going to know more about the thoughts to invite into yourself in the mornings in order to be able to show up and to feel the fullest expression of yourself. So in my full program, we go through visualization, best energetic self, and then we use the mantras that are in the 5K guide, as well as along with the boot camp series, to take ourselves through that journey of healing alongside of the symptoms of inflammation that you're going to read about in the guide. So Jennifer says the guide And Brenda says that she wants the guide. Alexa wants the guide. Lindsay wants the guide. You get a guide. You get a guide. Guide. I love it. And listen, guys, even on the replay, let me know and I will get you the guide. But if you are watching this on the replay, please tag me in case I miss it. But right now I see at least Jen, Brenda, Alexa, and Lindsay want the guide. So I'm going to make sure to get that to you guys ASAP. Awesome. Do you have any other questions? Again, there's a lag, so I'll hang out on here for a few minutes. I'm happy to talk to you about food, inflammation, ditching the scale. I literally ran over my scale with my car one day. The lovely Shayna came over to my house and she was like, "Can I step on your scale?" And back then I didn't think so. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And she goes, "What is the deal with that?" And I said, "I know, right?" Our other friend, Rachel Goldman, was driving by and Shane and I had the scale and we had her drive over it. Not kidding, it's a true story. So I haven't stepped on it since then. And the other thing that happened the other day, I had a client drop her scale off at my house. And I'll often have people do that because they're afraid to throw it away or they can't hide it. And it's so tempting, right? You're like sweating about it. Like, oh, I'm just going to take it out and check one time. It's like, it's still a problem for me. I haven't done it, but I can still feel the anxiety. And it's been like 3 years. And so I had the scale in my closet. And my daughter, Lexi, I heard her like fiddling around. She goes, "Mommy, I cleaned it. I cleaned the scale." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She gotten the Windex out and like cleaned it. And she's like, "Oh, it's so pretty." I'm like, "Oh my God, what is happening? We have a scale in our house and my 8-year-old's taking it out." Now she stands on it and then she gets off. And then she stands on it again and then she gets off. And she goes, "Mommy, I think it's broken." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, it's giving me a different answer when I step on it." And I said, "Oh, interesting." I said, "Why don't you take it over to the rug?" So on the wood floor, she's like 52 pounds or something. She puts it on the rug. She's like 12 pounds. And if you're anything like me, you have done that. You move it around to get the answer you want, or you put your socks on, or you take your socks off, right? Or you put it on the wood floor and you're like, no, put it on the ceramic floor, put it on the kitchen floor. Has anyone done that? Like, that's how crazy I used to be about this. To get the number that I wanted to, like, I didn't even know what the truth was. I even remember doing this as a teenager. There was like a little dial on the bottom of the scale and you could turn it in order to, there's a special word for it, in order to like make it right. I forget what that is. Alexis said, raising her hand. Yeah, moving the scale around, right? So anyway, so I look at her and I said, "Well, what do you think about that?" And she goes, "Mommy, the scale's a liar." And I said, "Yeah, you're right." And I said, "What do you think about that?" She's like, that's crazy. Like, how are you supposed to know?" And I said, "Exactly." This is yeah, tear. Is that what TARE? Calibrate. Yes, calibrate. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, tear, Debbie, thank you for saying that too. I do see that word on my scale for food. I didn't realize that's what it was. Brenda said she's weighed before after going to the bathroom. Yeah, totally. You weigh before the bathroom, after the bathroom, first thing in the morning, definitely never at night, right before you go to bed, right? Your period's coming. You're like, how much water retention do I hold on my period? Like, is this useful? Really? I don't know. I'd rather know that I feel really good about what I'm putting in my body and that my mood feels really good and I'm not bloated today. So if you guys want to feel that way, this guide is really going to be helpful for you. And like I said, what the guide doesn't do is coach you through the emotional, psychological part of that, the mindset piece that's so integral to us being able to change our lives. But I do hope that the guide is going to help give you some tips of what to look for that's not the number, right? So we can set the scale aside and say, I'm really curious about this. I'm going to give this a shot instead. And you can let me know how that works out for you. Brenda, seriously, I totally know what you mean about that. Yeah, great. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'll hang out here for a moment and see what other comments come in, but you can go ahead and drop off the live as I just chit chat to myself.